Welcome back to the Deep Dive. If you're a professional working in the global space, you probably know this feeling. You know your field. You've studied the grammar for years. You've maybe even passed the exams. But then, the big meeting starts or you have to lead a tough negotiation, and that hesitation creeps in. You feel yourself searching for the right phrase, and you lose that effortless professional edge.
That plateau feeling is incredibly common for adult learners. It's so frustrating. You have the knowledge, but getting to professional fluency, that authentic, confident flow that requires a completely different approach.
And that's our mission today, isn't it? To lay out that roadmap. We're looking at 10 strategies that are rooted in some pretty serious linguistic research.
Exactly. We're moving past just random tips. We're diving into the work of people like Stephen Krashen on input, Merrill Swain on output, and Anders Ericsson, whose research really defines what it takes to build expertise. We're basically merging language learning with performance psychology.
And all this comes from our source material, How to Speak English Like a Pro in 2026. It's all about making real, measurable progress. Fewer hesitations, smoother conversations, and sounding genuinely confident.
Right. It's a blueprint for busy adults. This isn't about hacks. It's about what actually works.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's start with the absolute foundation, secret number 1. This feels like the biggest mental shift.
It is. Secret 1 is flood your ears with comprehensible input daily. This is all based on Stephen Krashen's core idea. He argues that language acquisition happens best when you're just massively exposed to messages you can understand, but that are, just a little bit beyond your current level.
Okay, that's what he calls the I+1, right? Let's unpack that because it seems absolutely critical.
It is. So if you only listen to things you already understand completely, you don't grow, you stagnate. But if you jump to something way too difficult, it's just noise. You get frustrated and tune out.
So the I+1 is that sweet spot.
Exactly. It's where your brain can figure out the meaning from context. And while it's doing that, it's subconsciously absorbing new words, new structures. And Krashen's research is clear. Without enough of this input, your output, your ability to speak, will just stall.
You can't say what you haven't heard.
You really can't.
Okay, so my skeptical question for the busy professional listening is this. The source says aim for 1 to 2 hours a day. I mean, how is that practical for someone running a department or who's always on the road?
It's a fair question. The key is to integrate it, not schedule it. You use your passive time, your commute when you're cooking at the gym, and the input has to be engaging. TED Talks with transcripts, industry-specific podcasts, audiobooks in your field. I mean, the source mentions the CEO who went from being lost in meetings to leading them confidently.
And that was after 6 months of this.
6 months of dedicated immersion during his travel and workouts. It was a career-defining change for him.
That's a huge return. But, input alone just builds comprehension. It doesn't build confidence. You need to actively shape that knowledge, which I think brings us perfectly to secret 2.
Yes. Secret 2, embrace deliberate practice for targeted improvement. And this is where we pull in Anders Ericsson's research on what it takes to become an expert in anything.
Right, not just casual repetition. It's something much more focused.
It has to be. Deliberate practice is goal-oriented, it's rich with feedback, and it constantly pushes you just outside your comfort zone. If you're just casually chatting, you're probably just reinforcing your old mistakes.
So instead of a vague goal like I want to speak better, you'd pick one really specific thing to work on.
Exactly. Just 20 or 30 minutes a day on one tiny weak area. Maybe it's your intonation on questions or how you use linking sounds. The most important part, though, is the feedback loop.
Tell us more about that. What kind of feedback actually works for a professional?
It has to be immediate and specific. So you record yourself describing a chart from a recent report. Then you listen back, or you run it through an app like ELSA Speak or send it to a tutor. And the feedback can't be sound more fluent. It has to be you stress the wrong syllable in analyze, then you do it again right away, fixing just that one thing.
I see. That's how you actually build new habits instead of just repeating old ones.
It is. The source had this great example of a diplomat who used this exact method to polish his phrasing for high-stakes meetings. It turned his awkward pauses into, polished delivery.
Okay, that makes so much sense. So massive input, then targeted deliberate output. That's the core shift. Let's move into the specific speaking techniques then, the things that build that natural rhythm and sound.
Right. So this next part is all about the quality of your output, starting with secret 3. Shadow native speakers to build natural rhythm.
Shadowing. Can you just define that for anyone who's not familiar? It's basically repeating what you hear in real time.
Almost in real time, yeah. You're lagging just a half second behind a native speaker. It's challenging. but so powerful. There's a ton of research showing it improves your intonation, your pronunciation, your overall flow.
How does it do that?
It's almost like building muscle memory for your mouth and your brain. You're forced to copy the melody, the stress, the way words connect. Crucially, it helps you bypass that step of translating in your head.
Which is where so many people get stuck. So what's a practical way to do this?
Keep it short. 5 or 10-minute clips, a bit of a news report, a professional interview, listen once. Then maybe shadow silently, just to get the rhythm. Then shadow out loud. And don't worry about getting every word perfect. Focus on the music of it.
I like that. The music of the language.
The source mentioned an executive who did this with news flips, and after a few months, his team told him he sounded more natural in conferences. He'd just absorbed the flow.
Okay, so shadowing is about mimicking the external sound. Secret 4 seems to be about pushing yourself internally. Force-pushed output to notice and fix gaps.
Yes, this comes from Meryl Swain's output hypothesis. Her argument was that, input is great, but it's not enough. It's only when you're forced to produce language to speak that you notice where your gaps are.
So when you stumble or can't find the right word, your brain flags it as something to work on.
Exactly. It forces you to actually build sentences under pressure, which is a totally different skill from just understanding them.
So how can you create that productive pressure on your own?
The best technique is called the 4-3-82 method. It's brilliant. You pick a topic you know well, maybe a project you're working on, and you talk about it for 4 minutes. Then you talk about the exact same topic for 3 minutes.
And then for 2.
And then for 2. That time pressure forces you to be more concise, more efficient. It just strips out the filler words and hesitation. We saw one professional use this to gain what he called promotion-ready poise. It's like a workout for your fluency.
That is a fantastic, actionable technique. So we've got rhythm and pressure. Let's talk about the finer points, the nuance, secrets 8 and 9.
Absolutely. So, secret 8, master pronunciation through focused prosody. A lot of adults think they can't improve their accent, but that's not the goal. The goal isn't a perfect accent, it's intelligibility. It's being clearly understood.
And what's the key to that?
It's prosody. We should probably define that. Prosody is the rhythm, stress, and intonation of a language. It's the music. You can have perfect grammar, but if you stress the wrong syllable in a key word, it can change the whole meaning or just confuse your listener.
Especially in a global team where clarity is everything. So what are the tools here?
Use things like Forvo to hear a single word pronounced by native speakers, or Youglish, which finds any word used in context in thousands of YouTube videos. Just focusing on getting sentence stress right can dramatically reduce misunderstandings. It's a really quick win.
And that idea of flow connects directly to Secret 9. Learn and use idiomatic chunks. This is about moving away from studying single vocabulary words, right?
Completely. This is Paul Nation's lexical approach. Look, native speakers don't build sentences one word at a time. We think and speak in multi-word chunks, phrases like, by the way, or at the end of the day, or just to follow up on that.
It's the glue that holds professional speech together.
It is. If you have to pause to build those common phrases from scratch every time, your speech will sound stilted. It'll be slow. The action plan is simple. Each week, pull maybe 10 of these chunks from podcasts or articles you're reading and actively try to use them. We saw an advanced learner use this to go from sounding technically correct to sounding genuinely authoritative in negotiations.
So we've covered the what and the how of speaking, but none of this works if English isn't just part of your world.
Which brings us to our third segment on environment and consistency.
Right, and that starts with Secret 5. Create your own immersion environment. You don't have to move abroad to get the benefits of immersion. Krashen's theories back this up. Simulated immersion works.
You just need to make the language unavoidable. Unavoidable, that's the perfect word. Switch your phone to English, your Netflix profile, your news apps. Make English the path of least resistance in your digital life. And that external shift leads right into an internal one, which is Secret 6. Practice self-talk.
Self-talk. So literally just talking to yourself in English.
Yes. It might feel strange at first, but it's an incredibly powerful tool for reducing that performance anxiety you mentioned earlier. It's private, it's unlimited practice, and research shows it helps break the habit of mental translation.
So you're not thinking in your native language and then translating, you're just thinking in English.
That's the goal. You can start small, just narrate what you're doing. Okay, I'm opening the spreadsheet now. I need to check the figures in column B.
Yeah.
We had a CEO client, a very shy person, who used his commute for self-talk. It's what finally broke his translation habit and let him speak fluidly in the boardroom.
That's a powerful internal tool. But language is about connection, which means we can't ignore Secret 7. Find tandem partners for real interaction.
Right. No amount of solo practice can replace a real conversation. This is where you get what's called negotiated meaning.
Mm.
You have to clarify, you have to rephrase. That's where the deep learning happens.
For a busy professional, what's the best way to do this without, signing up for a formal class?
Apps like Tandem or HelloTalk are perfect. Schedule one call a week. The key is to keep it balanced, equal time for each language, and talk about things you're actually interested in. People consistently report that finding a good, regular partner is what gives them that final breakthrough in confidence.
Okay, so we have all these incredible evidence-based techniques, but this leads to the final and maybe biggest challenge, Secret 10. Build tiny habits for consistency. Because willpower runs out, especially when you're busy.
It always runs out. This is where we need to use behavioral science, specifically BJ Fogg's tiny habits method. You stop fighting the willpower battle by making the new habit incredibly small, and then you anchor it to something you already do every day.
So you're making it so small, it's almost impossible not to do it.
Precisely. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will shadow for 2 minutes, not 20, 2, or after I close my laptop at the end of the day, I will do 5 minutes of self-talk. The consistency is what matters. You celebrate that small win, and it builds momentum naturally. This is how you achieve the volume that Secrets 1 and 4 demand without ever feeling overwhelmed.
This whole roadmap, it really is a fundamental shift. It's moving away from just studying grammar in a book and toward this combination of massive, real-world input and very targeted, high-quality output.
That's the synthesis right there. Stop worrying about hypothetical mistakes and start building real-world fluency. These 10 secrets, they're practical, they're transformative, and they give you the path to go from a hesitant speaker to a confident professional leader.
You have the science, you have the strategies. This is how you move the needle on your professional communication.
And here's the final thought I'd like to leave you with. Don't try to implement all 10 of these secrets tomorrow. That's a recipe for failure. Instead, pick just one. Maybe it's the 4-3-2 technique, or the daily input flood on your commute, or that 2-minute shadow after your coffee. Commit to that one thing for the next month and just track how it impacts your confidence. That commitment is the difference between learning about fluency and actually achieving it.